Guys, it's Rothbard's Disciple here. This is a bit of a rant video. Um, I just want to explain to you guys some of the stupidity that of working with NChain or trying to get things accomplished with NChain. Working with any other groups, it's a lot of times worse. I will say that, but some of the shit NChain says to me, it's the most retarded shit I've ever heard in my fucking life, and it pains me to speak with them. I'm getting tired of speaking with them, and I want to explain why. A lot of people, like on social media, you proof of social media faggots. You'll always say things like, "Oh, you don't ever actually create shit. You've never actually come out with something that the public could use." And there's actually a very distinct reason that none of the things that I work on have been able to be created by the public. I always had this assumption that the developers would be able to work at least for a day to create an application. That the developers would do at least something. But instead, like, because when Amazon came out, like when the internet came out and Amazon came out, Amazon didn't tell the customers like, hey, you have to build your own app. Like, you have to build your own website in order to buy books from us. Like, we'll send you the books, but you got to build your own website and connect to us. And that's what NChain says. Like they won't. I don't know. I've never been a customer or a potential customer for a business and had them say, "Yeah, you have to do all the work yourself. We don't actually do the we don't offer the product we pretend to sell." I've never experienced that, but that's what I get from NChain. And the other thing that NChain likes to tell me is they like to tell me that because all my apps are for intellectual property, they like to tell me that the way I'm trying to have intellectual property sort of work on the blockchain. That I'm gonna like. They say that the state is the one who defines intellectual property, and so when I create these apps that put intellectual property on the blockchain, they say I'm like trying to destroy the state, and that's the function of the state. And it's like just so you guys know, this is like my app here. This is the shitty app that I've shown you guys on TK Enter. The final thing that you get from the shitty app is you get these hashes, right? And so all I'm doing, this is what I want to put onto the blockchain is hashes, okay? And these hashes, they're symbols, right? And I don't know how it is. Like, I guess NChain has a very high opinion of me because they think that my hashes are like these magical anarchy hashes or something, that somehow this right here, this symbol, is going to destroy the state. Now, I don't know what type of black magic they think that I'm a master of. But I'm like everything I've ever been taught in my life tells me that a symbol is a symbol. Okay, so if you want someone to enforce what this symbol means, you need a person to do it, right? And so who's the people who enforce property rights and IP right now? It's the state. So if you want someone to enforce this right now, the first person you look to is the state. So these applications sort of need the state. They require some sort of oversight. Just so you guys know, we're talking about managing intellectual property when you create digital content. So this is just like in the way YouTube does it. So when you create content on YouTube, you don't actually get the government to come in and stamp everybody YouTube creator's content and be like, this is his, this is his, this is your IP now, this is your IP now. The government's not involved unless something goes wrong. Okay, that's the other thing that I don't know if they just don't understand this, but you can manage your own IP rights without having a direct relationship with a state actor. Okay, that's the way that business works. That's the way free markets work. Is you just do things, and then it's only when things go wrong that the state gets involved. But again, I'm not a sorcerer. Okay, this is just a symbol. This right here is a symbol. You guys see that? It's a symbol. All right, and the way that you use this symbol again, because what I'm saying is you take the intellectual property of any digital content, and I'm actually going to show you guys the newer GUI I've been using. I have a lot of troubles with these GUIs. I wish to God somebody who could code would put up some fucking videos showing people how, because it's super easy. Like when it's not a GUI, I can get this shit to do anything I want, and it takes me no fucking time at all. Like if I could just get GUI, like this is me hashing not just tweets but actual files. In this one, I am hashing um, these two audio files, and it actually comes out correctly. We can prove it here. Select files, OS folder 00. takes a second because these are bigger files, but C2F, BEB, those are the two hashes that I should have gotten from this, and I got C2F, BEB. Those hashes are correct, you know what I mean? My programs work perfectly. You've already seen that I've got these Merkle writs going and whatnot. Like, I can hash anything, turn it into a Merkle writ, store it locally, voila. The problem is when I get a GUI involved, it fucks up the object-oriented programming. Nothing works the way it's supposed to. The tkinter one works very well, and I seem to understand that, but this looks like dog shit. I don't know if I've shown you guys yet this, but I do have the PyQt. Sorry to get loud in your ear, but yeah, I got this PyQt-E, or no, it's not PyQt-E, whatever the fuck the name is. These look a lot more professional, and these are super easy to make, but this displays the tweets, and yeah, I do have a bunch of empty tweets there, or empty lines, which you will see more clearly there when you see the unhashed leaves, and then the fluff leaves after it, but this displays the hash stuff, and if you go down, this is the same fucking hash. Okay, so this one works as well. But the one really retarded thing, like, when I come out with my tutorials, it's going to boggle your mind how hard it is to do most of the most basic things with computer programs for this. When you actually download this PyQt, it doesn't come with this designer that I'm showing you here right now. This designer is great because then if you want a button, you just pull that out there, drag it in, drop it. You want some sort of text on there. Throw this text edit box out there. You can change the size of it. You can move it anywhere you want, and then it takes like one command line function to once you save this, turn this into a something you can look at. Because like right here, I didn't write any of this text. It made this, or any of this code. It made this for me. I wrote some of these down here, but like I said before, the object-oriented programming gets totally fucked up, and it's because I don't know the format. And like the problem with these computer science programs is a lot of the tutorials, the good ones, are like 3 or 4 years old, so they're on antiquated programs that don't work anymore. So they don't, like, the tutorials are meaningless. And you could have these tutorials update automatically, and you could have them give you actually pay the creators for them, where the creator makes good money if you use something like this application I've been trying to get the NChain people to make, but they're just too fucking stupid, I guess. I don't really know. It boggles my mind to a large extent, so I'm going to actually show you guys using the NChain programs themselves. Now, you guys know I've worked with James Belding a little bit. I wasted a lot of his time because when I talked to him, the first thing I said is, hey, if you I don't have much to offer you unless you try and offer this function within the software that you have. And then he didn't include this function, even though it would have, the only thing I only had to have him change one thing, and he already has these functions within his software. By the way, don't ever have a 4-character password. This is a wallet that I don't give a shit about and has basically nothing in it. But he never changed any of the shit that I asked him to, and it would have been super fucking easy. And so I wasted his time. He wasted my time. I ended up actually sending an email to CoinGeek as soon as James sent me this software, because I was like, look, as long as he adds this function to his software, which would take him like 20 minutes tops, I can sell the shit out of this to hundreds of millions of people. And so I sent an email to CoinGeek, which immediately got forwarded to Jimmy Wynn, and me and Jimmy had a conversation. And I was like, look, I got these leads for these businesses that I know I could sell this stuff to. I'm working with a developer who is working for your guys' $5 million prize, because at this time he hadn't won the prize, and I actually thought, like, by doing this and trying to engage with Jimmy Wynn, I would help James win the competition, because I wanted to show that there was sort of grassroots support for it, and I wanted to actually explain to people how to use this token software. And I thought, like, as soon as James released this software, that was it. It was game over, and it still will be game over if he just adds this simple function to it that I want him to. But if we look at this here, we'll go to this one, view details on this gearbox token. Hopefully there's a contract here. Yeah, so this contract, actually I think, oh no, I deleted it. But this might be the same transaction. Let me look at this real quick. History, contract formed, what's the transaction? DC9. Yeah, okay, so if you look at this, when I was creating these tokens, you don't have to know much about this token. The only thing that matters for our purposes, and again, because there's a lot of stuff here that this tokenized software has, that James has, it's really great software. And again, he's already publicly shown what I'm showing you here. This is an antiquated version. I can't actually create tokens on this. It doesn't actually. This is still the Bitcoin Cash version or whatever. But anyways, the whole thing, the reason why I was so excited about James's software, and I told him this again, one of the first things I told him was, your software is not built for my purpose, but I can use it for my purpose, especially if you just make a couple small changes. And so that's the sign of good software. You know it's a good application when you can do that. But again, the problem I've been saying with James is that he's trying to make this for high value transactions, and nobody trusts Bitcoin right now. So who the fuck's going to do these high value transactions? Nobody. Nobody at all. But this contract file hash is the only thing that matters, and the only reason why it matters is, again, if we go back to the programs that I have created, so let's go to these coding here, let's go back to the PyQt GUI, because it's the one that looks good. Actually, if I just open this straight up, I think it'll open. Yeah, it does. So I've got all these tweets here. A couple of them are blank tweets, and I want to create them into a Merkle root, right? So here's the Merkle root of the tweets. Notice that this is a hash, 64 characters. Notice that this is called a contract file hash. Okay, 64 characters, same fucking thing, right? So we already have hashes here, and all I want to do is this data that I have right here. This hash right here represents this data. Technically speaking, it represents all this data with the ones there, but the ones are fluff. They don't matter. This right here, the tweets that we have, is what matters. We want to manage the IP of this because, again, we're assuming that this is some sort of program that allows you to tweet things, and then you just want to manage the IP of your tweets, right? So if you're managing the IP of your tweets, it's really simple. You hash everything together into a Merkle root, right? So you get this root hash right here. This root hash represents all these tweets here. Okay, so if I post this root hash to the blockchain, it's the same as posting all of these tweets individually. Didn't mean to delete those, but the difference is that it's way cheaper. Okay, right here, if you're looking at this, technically speaking, because you would have been doing these leaves as well, that would have been 64 transactions. So instead of doing 64 transactions, we're only doing one. Okay, so it's a massive cost reduction to the user. Massive. And it can get a lot bigger than this. If you're talking about like tweets for a month, a lot of people will tweet a couple hundred times in a month. So it's cost savings of a couple hundred times. You know, it's multiple orders of magnitude. It's a ridiculous amount of cost savings. And the second thing too is it allows for super quick and fast lookup. So if you're trying to look through the blockchain for, you know, all these tweets and the contract that's associated with them, you would almost assume they would have to write out the tweet and then the contract that gets associated with it. Let's assume, like, because your contracts, again, they can be easy as fuck, right? So we have a contract with Twitter. My contract with Twitter could just be like, if Twitter censors me, they will resend me all the tweets posted to the blockchain. Okay, that's just the contract that I have with Twitter. And maybe, like, obviously this would be in their terms of agreement or whatever, terms of service. I don't even remember their terms and conditions, whatever it is, whatever that fucking name is for the shit that nobody reads. But they just need to include something like this. And so then this would mean that, yeah, obviously Twitter could censor me, but if they do censor me, then they have to send me back all the transactions so that I can go or finally get a or so that I can get this hash, right? So, because again, all the things that I've posted to the blockchain, those are the tweets that Twitter and I would have a multi-signature wallet, and so we would each sign off on this getting posted to the blockchain. So if this was already posted to the blockchain, that means Twitter has already said that yes, we will honor this contract for this content, right? So there's also, like, again, if we're doing this at a month-by-month basis, that means the most previous month, Twitter has not put the most previous month to the blockchain. So the user would have to store at least 1 month's worth of their content, okay? In this case, again, you're storing a contract with Twitter that says, hey, you have to give me this back, and you've already signed off on that you're going to do it. So then obviously if they didn't, then you could legally go after them. The other thing too is if you want full censorship resistance is you just store all your tweets. It's that simple as well. But again, the whole reason you put things on the blockchain is so it's easy lookup. And again, this contract hash right here only represents the data. So you not only need the data, but we've got our little contract here. I'm going to resave it over this here, this contract here, because it was just the same thing that I was doing earlier. But we take then the data that we have, because again, all we're doing with Bitcoin is you just connect hashes. That's all it is. We're going to look and we're going to find the hash of this contract. And again, you would do this through code, but I'm not going to code this up in the middle of this video to show you guys here. But there's the contract. There's the or the contract. Oh, when did the contract? Well, the contract starts somewhere in here somewhere. But anyways, it's the hash of the data and the hash of the contract that dictates what happens to the data. And this is the final hash you would post to the blockchain. That's it. Okay? And again, this includes all the data that you have and the contract that governs how that data is supposed to be used on the blockchain. This isn't fucking rocket science, okay? And the cool thing again is that after this, there's a lot of super interesting things that you can do with this. And the reason why, or the one thing that James doesn't have here is when you have a contract file hash, if you amend the contract, you can change the contract file hash, okay? It even lets me open up, like if I want to put in some file and have the some file from my own fucking computer, it allows me to choose it. Okay, so that's really nice. It's really functional, but you can't send tokens when you amend this contract, and this becomes an issue because if you have, like, let's say you have a multi-signature wallet with Twitter. The one thing Twitter can do with tokens is they can actually represent your membership with tokens. So they can just say every month we're going to update your membership by just putting a new, like all your month's tweets onto the blockchain with a new contract hash. And so then what Twitter would actually do is they'd create a bunch of tokens. And again, tokens have no value. You can create as many tokens as you want, or maybe it's not as many as you want. You can create at least that many, which is a big number. Yeah, it doesn't show the number here. That's a lot of zeros, so that's a lot of tokens. But then Twitter could send you something like, let's say, you know, Twitter sends you 12 tokens, that each token represents 1 month with Twitter. So every time that like that 1 month comes up, you send 1 token to Twitter, and that 1 token has a contract file hash that has, again, it's the root hash of your tweets hashed with the contract for those tweets. And so it's just 1 hash, 164-byte hash, and you send them a token that has that hash associated with that token. And so again, this makes it really easy because then you can just look at how many tokens you've sent to Twitter, and each token represents a different month, and each token is different data, and it's all right there. It's all really easy to do, and each creation, like these tokens cost nothing to create and send, so it's no cost to the user. You don't actually have to make the user spend any of their own money. So you could do something like Memo, except without having to make users pay for the things that they do. It'd just be completely free, right? And all I needed from James, again, he has this amend contract thing here, which is really nice. He has send tokens. But on both of them, you cannot change, like if I go to send tokens, I can't change the contract. If I go to change the contract, I can't change the tokens, which is just inconvenient, okay? It's very inconvenient. And this is all I asked from James. That was it. And I couldn't get it. And again, I sent an email to CoinGeek that got forwarded to Jimmy Wynn, and I had a conversation where I just assumed that James was going to potentially add something like this. Especially if he won, because now he's got a huge amount of funding. And it's like, that's the easiest thing, just to add that one function, but he wouldn't. And so I sort of tripped over myself, you know, by getting Jimmy all excited on something that ended up not happening. But again, it's like, I don't know why that says close 20 tabs. I'm closing all those tabs though. But anyways, yeah. I went out of my way to tell Jimmy that I could sell the shit out of James's software if James would just add this little thing to it, and he didn't add it. And so I get all this shit on from those idiots on Twitter, the proofers, social media dumb fucks who are like, oh, you've never created anything that you can show anything for. And it's like, well, yeah, because if I was gonna, like, if I approached Jimmy to be a salesman, and then James didn't create a product for me to sell, how can I sell it? You know what I mean? Like, you can't sell a product for someone until that product exists. Okay, so the positions that I had always been trying to, or the things I've been trying to do for Bitcoin were all predicated on an assumption that the developers would do something. You know what I mean? That they would just do something. Um, but they just fucking don't. And this is the thing that boggles my mind because again, all you're doing here is again, you take the data of the shit that I've created and then you just put it into the software that they have. Because again, I just showed you his tokenized software. His software already exists. All I'm doing is I am creating or I'm taking data that I have stored locally and I take that data and I create it into hashes. Okay, so I'm just taking data that I've stored locally, create it into hashes. So again, let's just fuck it. We're not gonna open the code. Ooh, that's not the one I wanted. I want PyQt test. Yeah, just fucking open it. And I open PyQt tweet again. PyQt test. But again, all this data is stored locally on my computer. Okay, so it's not like I'm asking James to do crazy ass shit. I'm just saying, hey, if you let me, add on a program like this, where instead of, he already has things where you can add a hash to it. Imagine just like all I have to do is feed this hash plus the contract hash, like concatenate those two together. But I would end up with just one hash like this, and so I would just have to feed this hash into the token software that they already fucking have. Okay, they already fucking have it. All you have to do is feed in this, like right here. And again, I just started coding a month ago. Like I'm already here. I already built the add-on for you guys that I've been asking you guys for. And it's not like I've asked a couple people on this, Talked to Craig Wright on it, 8 months ago. He brought up stupid shit about reverse securitization of people like the Rolling Stones. And it's like, this isn't the same thing. The Rolling Stones were fucking multi-millionaires. This is for like just for data. For data that has zero value. Okay, the value of the data that the Rolling Stones created was incredibly valuable. So it's not even, I don't know, he's not even on the same fucking page. I talked to Jason Elliott about like 7, 8 months ago and said, hey, you need to start fucking organizing your tweets like this. This right here is literally built for Jason Elliott's stuff, and he just says stuff like, oh, you don't want to do that for tweets because it's the wrong type of data to not put fully on the blockchain, blah, 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 blah. It's like, you're a dumb fuck. There's no negative to doing this. Like the only thing that happens when you use hashes rather than the full tweets is that you exponentially lower your costs, you exponentially increase your censorship resistance. Because again, like if Twitter tries to censor me, one, I've got this fucking hash and contract on the blockchain that says that they're cheaters. Okay, they can't lie and pretend that they're not criminals. Even if they try to get away with it, everyone still knows they're criminals. But two, if it's something like tweets, you can store as many, like you can store 100 lifetimes worth of tweets on your computer, and it's hardly going to make a dent in the storage on your computer. It's like this is a minimal storage sort of thing. If you were talking about like hashing videos can have a lot of information in them. So something like that, the user might not want to store everything on their own computer, and so they, like they might actually have more of a chance of actually being censored. But again, it's much harder to censor somebody when you're only posting hashes to the blockchain. And Jason's like, oh, we're never going to use hashes. We're going to post raw data because we're dumb fucks, And then I tried talking to Ryan Charles, but I'm pretty sure he's had me muted forever. Ryan again keeps building shit to put raw data on the blockchain, so they keep on trying to increase the size of the unchained transaction, so that I think this current max that you can get out of it is something like 5 kilobytes or some shit. I don't fucking know. It's really tiny because you can only put like 25 transactions together or some shit like that. So they keep trying to say, hey, increase the number of transactions. Like, if you use fucking hashes, you dumb fucks. Which again, the only thing that Bitcoin did that was new is the mining, right? So when you're mining, you're putting a potentially infinite amount of information. It's not actually infinite because nothing that a computer can handle is infinite, but you're putting a near infinite, or you can put up to a near infinite amount of information, and it's all just one root hash, so that users don't have to look at all the information themselves. But why don't they follow that for just adding data to the blockchain? Why are they making users look at all the data when they could just put a root hash? I don't fucking know. And again, if any of these dumb fucks would spend because again, I've gotten this far in a month. Okay, a month of never made a GUI before. I've never done most of the thing, like I've never hashed anything before. I've never tried to create a Merkle rip before. And I've got all this shit done here, you know, like I got a bunch of things going on here. My issue right now is getting them into GUIs. But Craig Wright knew about this something like 8 months ago. Jason Elliott knew about it like 7 months ago. Ryan Charles potentially like 6 to 7 months ago, but he might have had me muted forever. James Belding's known about it for like 3 to 4 months. I built this shit in a month, so they each could have built it. Like if you take all the months that they could have built it, they could have built it a couple dozen times, and they would have built it a lot faster than me. So they could have built it a couple hundred times, and they didn't. It's like we got 1 to 2 fucking. Let's actually look at this. Bitcoin SV. Come on. Stop it. Get to see every once in a while I go to 4chan's Biz channel. Just so you guys know, I'm new to Windows, so I haven't actually used these too much. I don't really use Reddit that much or 4chan's Biz, but apparently apparently I use it enough here or some shit, you know, for it to show up. But anyways, let's look at these transactions, guys. Every block. 14, 19, 31, 11, 10, 22, 44, 10. Like this is all your fucking apps are building. And again, these apps that I've been telling you guys about, it's just take digital content that people create, hash it, and put it on the blockchain. Do you think that there's more than 14 people that create digital content? Like every 10 minutes, there's more than 14 people that have posted digital content somewhere? Do you think, oh man, we got a new block, 8 transactions. Do you think that in the past 10 minutes, there's been more than 8 things or 8 pieces of digital content in the world created? Do you? Because NChain doesn't. But again, I keep telling them, you can literally organize the creation of all digital content on the blockchain, and it's super easy. It's super easy to code. It's very straightforward. The users will understand it immediately, and it's almost zero cost to the users. Do you think we would have more transactions than 8? This is the question that I keep being like, I don't know. I swear to God, I'm gonna get cancer when I'm like 27. Okay, that's like what, a year away, 2 years away, just under a year away, or just under 2 years away, close to a year. And I'm probably going to have cancer at that time. Why? Because they keep telling me we can't try and build apps for hundreds of millions of people. Instead, we're going to focus on 8 every 10 minutes. 1 a minute, guys. 1 transaction a minute. I don't know. Like my frustration and my anger and rage from these people, it's endless. And I just don't know. We could again. These apps, I'm going to try and learn how to post this stuff to GitHub, but again, I've never done any of this before. Okay, so I'm having to learn all this stuff new. If any of you guys out there know how to code at all, like for the love of God, we can be like I can I can give us 3 to 4 order magnitudes more transactions than this. Okay, Craig Wright can't sell blockchain apps for shit. The only person who has a chance, like all the blockchain apps suck dick except for James Belding's Tokenized one, and I don't want to show you guys too much of his software because it's somewhat confidential, and I've somewhat become, opposed them. Now I somewhat oppose them, and so I don't know if they want me showing all their shit, but his software is really good, but his market is people who are going to put high value transactions on the blockchain, but nobody trusts the blockchain, and why would anyone trust the blockchain with this many transactions? That means there's no real security. It means you have to hope that Craig Wright and Calvin Ayre are going to lose massive amounts of money in order to secure your transactions. Why would you hope? Why would you trust hope? Okay, we could trust volume, which I can bring for fucking nothing. It's again just someone, complete these fucking apps that I have. I'll try and complete them, but it's going to take me time. And again, I'm a writer. Why is it that a writer is becoming the, Bitcoin's biggest dev? I have no fucking clue. Anyways, I'm getting really tired of talking about this. It just irritates me, and I've struggled really hard this time because when this isn't my first take on this video. I just started screaming. Okay, this shit is so easy. Anybody could do it in a week that wants to, but they don't. Instead, they make sure that we get 1 transaction a minute. This is fucking dog shit, guys. That's all it is. It's fucking dog shit. Any fucking retarded monkey on a 12-day coke binge could do better. Okay? But they have to know a little bit about coding. Unfortunately, those retarded monkeys on 12-day coke binges know a little bit more about coding than me, so I'm not up to the task yet. I will be, and I can do it. But for the love of God, this is way more efficient if you have coders do coding. Okay, writers should write. Okay, farmers should farm. Bitcoin will never get anywhere if you tell farmers, oh, you have to code your app if you want to use a Bitcoin app for your stuff. Oh, what's that? You want to track your supply chain? You got to build the app. No, coders build the app. Okay. I don't know why I have to say this. Anyways, this isn't a really good way to end the video, but fuck, whatever. I don't know how to deal with idiots, and that's all we got.